This video is for anyone that feels like they're struggling, trying to get to God. Anyone feels like their prayers are not being answered. There's no better time to come to God than now. If you're probably seeing this or hearing this, or maybe other people said this to you, but God is calling you. So no man comes to God unless he draws into him. So I pray this is part of the drawing for you. There's a part of us, our sinful nature, that wants to stay connected to worldly things and worldly desires. So that's something that God is trying to separate us from. But having those things keeps us separated from Him. Let's look at Romans 8 and 6. It says, "So letting your sinful nature control your mind leads to death, but letting the Spirit control your mind leads to life and peace." This is actually after a chapter where Paul is talking about the things that he wants to do, he doesn't do. And the things that he doesn't want to do are the things that he does. So it's a conflict within him that's wrestling with the sinful nature of humans and man that's battling with his spirit that's within. But it's only the power of God that can deliver us from those things. So if we're dealing with certain lust or temptations or drugs or anger, envy, anything like that, only thing that can bring us out of those things is the power of God. So we can try to be moral and be morally correct in certain aspects and try to say, well, I'm not going to do these things, I'm just not going to do it. But unless the power of God comes into us, we'll eventually fall to that or substitute that with something else. God isn't looking for us to just be morally correct. He's looking for us to be filled with the Spirit. And if we're not coming to Him to lay those things down, He's not going to accept us. So if we have pride and things like that, God is not going to accept us. It says we have to come under subjection with the Spirit of God. Our righteousness is like filthy rags to Him. There's nothing that we can do that would stand up to what it is that He's already set for us. That's why He sent His Son, that whosoever believe in Him shall have everlasting life. Let's look at Psalms 51:16 through 17 says, "You do not desire a sacrifice, or I would offer one. You do not want a burnt offering. The sacrifice you desire is a broken spirit. You will not reject a broken and repentant heart, O God." So if you feel like you're disconnected to God, or if you feel like God is even calling you to Him, if Jesus is calling you, that broken spirit, that repentant spirit is what He wants first. There's nothing else He wants before that. There's no amount of good deeds that you can do that God would want before you gave your actual life to Him, so He can do a work in you. So anybody feels like they feel a tug on their heart that God is tugging them, or they feel maybe they do believe, but it's they need to get back to where God has asked them at. Isaiah, in the presence of the Lord, in Isaiah 6, it said he saw the Lord high and lifted up. But even with that, he said, "I'm a man of unclean lips." In that presence with God, it was a coal brought down to him that purified his tongue. So we're in the presence of God. His Spirit, He will renew us, He will refresh us, but it's only in His presence. So you have to seek God, pray. In this season, you might need to fast. You might need to read your word more than ever. You might need to put down Instagram, put down Facebook, stop doom scrolling all day, and really get into your word. Why? Because if it's something you need to lay down at the Lord, you can only do that in His presence. You laying it down and you want to substitute doom scrolling with taking cooking lessons. Okay, you just made another idol. You haven't really gone to God to really get out of those certain things. So get in the presence of God, lay it down at Him. He will remove those things out of your life. So I just want to pray, be encouraged. I want to read these scriptures again. Romans 8 and 6 says, "So letting your sinful nature control your mind leads to death, but letting the Spirit control your mind leads to life and peace." Psalms 51:16 and 17. "You do not desire a sacrifice, or I would offer one. You do not want a burnt offering. The sacrifice you desire is a broken spirit. You do not reject a broken and repentant heart, O God." So I just pray this encourage you and strengthen you, that this pushes you more to get into your word on your own time, pushes you to pray in your own time, pushes you to fast in your own time, to get closer to God.